Of AyinBase 4. So we started talking what is the principle of hischabrut ha-nefesh im haguf. After having clearly pointed out that this hischabrut ha-nefesh im haguf, this is not initiated by the nefesh. This is initiated milmaila, from a higher source. As it says, "Vayipach be'apav nishmas chayim." And this Vayipach be'apav nishmas chayim, as we pointed out, this is not even the higher source. This is not merely the level of speech, like all other creatures created by speech, which is, so to speak, on the level of a koyach. Vayipach is mandanof of meteichen nofach. This is not a koyach anymore. This is referring to the etzem. It's a source in the etzem, and thus, since it's source in the etzem, what is brought forth with that is also an etzem element of the neshama, not just the functioning element, but the etzem element. And this is what the pasuk refers when it says, "B'tzelem is halachish." The Zohar explains that there's a tzelem that comes along with the neshama, and that provides for the presence of the neshama itself. And through this tzelem, all aspects of the neshama grow, meaning all aspects of the neshama is drawn out, are revealed. And they explained the makifim and the pnimi and all the koiches and so forth. And thereby, this affects, this enables the hischabrut of the neshama with the guf. Although neshama and guf are in different realms totally, and yet there is a hischabrut. And the hischabrut is in the way that even the deeper aspects of the neshama are also revealed in the guf, also relate to the guf. Then finally we came to the Ayin. How is that expressed in Avodah, in Ruchnis? In Ruchnis this is expressed, this is revealed, and this manifests itself in the Ayin of his Gabrus Atzura ala Chaymer. The Chaymer Haguf, this is the tangible. In the world, there is nothing, so to speak, more present, more real than the tangible. And yet, the neshama is mislabish in the guf, and this islabishus ultimately overcomes the special place that the guf occupies in the world, and that becomes the focus. That becomes the ikir. It's gabaz hatzura ala chaymer. But the ruchnius and the godness of the neshama, that becomes the primary reality, and the guf becomes merely a vehicle for it, and it's not the focus at all. This ultimately results in the neshama being in a very calm and accepting, fully accepting manner. It's called that it is. It finds itself in the guf. This is called his yashvus, and ultimately this is what means his chabrus. To be mischaber means that you feel at home where you're mischaber. How can the neshama feel at home in the guf? And the answer is because when the neshama is ultimately mischaber in the guf, and is gaber zatzura ala chaimer, then the guf itself shows the tzura element rather than the chaimer element. Now, as we said right in the beginning today, that the Gashmi is the guf, the choimer, is a primary presence in the world. As we point always out, that when the world was first created, there was choshech apnisheim, or darkness. And what is the significance of this darkness? That mitzad the Gashmius, there is no ruchnius inherently. This is what the world is. The world, Shemayim ba'oretz, oretz is Gashmi, is choimer. And even to put any kind of order into it had to be a separate effort. Like the earth, that the ground should, the dry land should surface, and the water should gather in a special place. All that is a special effort. So the Gashmi, there isn't that demand that things should be in order and the significance of things should surface. Because Gashmi is focused, so to speak, on the Gashmi, on the tangible element itself. And now we're saying that despite the fact that the Gashmi is the focal point of worldly existence, the guf, and yet, as a result of the neshama mislavish in the guf, there is a full-fledged hischabrus, so that the tzura overpowers, overshadows the chomer. The word overshadows is a wrong thing, because it's overlightened, so to speak. It brings out that light is superior to darkness. It's more real than darkness. How can it be? In the hischabus in the guf itself, not conceptually, theoretically, so to speak, but in actuality. So this is what we explain like this. And this is what the whole discussion was about. Ubigdei, the top line. Ubigdei sheyehi his gabaz atzur al hachoimer kanal. In order to effect that the tzura should overpower, should come forth and break through the choimer and become the focal point of the whole existence. How can it be? And let me elaborate a little bit so we understand the significance and the power behind this question. Every koyach that we utilize in the guf is a direct participant in it. You can't take a step without the feet allowing you, carrying you. And therefore, the feet become a primary presence. without the feet he can move. And therefore, what follows in terms of a logical inference? The desire to move, that's secondary, because he can, without the feet he can't move. And the way it works in the world, the way the logic in the world works, is that the reason we begin to think in terms of walking is because we have feet. Let me utilize my feet. I mean, it's upside down, but this in fact is what the emphasis in the world. We exercise our feet instead of exercising our mental capacity and the significance of walking. Like I mentioned many times, the car, as I said, is a manifestation of the human spirit. But what ultimately, what did the car ultimately reach? Its focal, its pinnacle of accomplishment, and to create a car that can go at enormous speed. And what is it for? To go in circles, not to go any place. That becomes a real thing. And all other cars that take people to work or from work or to shul, wherever they go, these are all imitations of the real thing. That's mentality. It's a subset. This is how the world, so to speak, makes your focal and draws your attention. And now he's saying that there is the inner, the isgabrus hatzur al hachomer, when the chomer becomes completely secondary, and you are not even. This is not a focal point at all. It's just a means to express and to use the tzura. That becomes the main thing. To the extent where the tzura is so overpowering that you're not even aware that you're using your brain to understand things. You're using a koyach hanefesh. And it's based on nefesh, it's based on malchus, as we shall see. How is that possible? To overcome the primary chomer presence of the guf and rise completely above it, to be oblivious, so to speak, to it. So that's what he says. B'dei sheyiz gabrus hachomer al hatzur al hachomer kanal zehu b'koyach etzem haneshama davka. That is possible, and it is within the purview only of the etzem haneshama. We already discussed this in this context here, that the etzem haneshama itself, way beyond all the koiches, even beyond the koiches makifim, even beyond chaya and yechida, that is what's put in the guf through this neficha. In other words, the presence of the neshama in the guf, facilitated by this tzelem, is such that its statement is not, look what I can do. Look what qualities I possess. It is the very presence of the neshama. Look who I am. That's it. This is the neshama. In our terms, these are words that's difficult to focus in and to catch. But if we reflect on the various things that we actually experience, we'll readily see what this is about. Number one, when we said all the time that the world without a human being is nothing. And when the human being came to the world, it made the world into a real presence, a reality. By virtue of what? Not by virtue of what the human being began to do, or is even able to do. By his presence. The etzem. The human presence itself transformed the world into reality. Closer to our own experience, closer to home, everyone understands. Even Lahadu the Goyim understand. The whole world today understands. The normal world. That human life is more precious than anything else in the world. The respect for human life knows no bounds. Knows no bounds, no limits. There was not long ago, there was a catastrophic, whether it was an earthquake, I don't remember it was, a catastrophic occurrence. And people were trapped under the rubble. Not too many people, could be one or two. There was no limit as to the expense and the effort to try to dig them up just in case they're still alive. And the effort was horrendous. Nobody stopped to think, does it pay? Is it worthwhile? It's worthwhile. It's not measured by the choimer parameters. Because there's an essence in the human being, beyond world. And if we lose sight of that essence, we lose sight of the value of the world altogether. It's exactly what happens sometimes.
Lose sight of what? Lose sight of the what of the world?
Of the value of the world.
No.
This is Bekoyach Etzem Hanshama Davke. The Etzem Hanshama. Because only the Etzem of the Neshama. Yesh Bekoychoi. It has the ability Lifoil ha-beetle beteva ha-guf. To affect the beetle in the nature of the guf. Lieskei li litzura seir Hanshama. To be a keli, a receptacle for the tzura, for the form of the oil hanshama, of the light of the neshama, so that what this is saying is, in paraphrase, is what we just now said. How did the human being get to sense this primary truth? He's a choimer, he's a goof. How do you get the sense, while in some is in the goof? How do you get the sense, hey, this is the real thing? The chaya, this is the real thing. How did he get this while he's in the goof? Because the neshama affected a beetle in the goof. Such a beetle, a primary, a fundamental beetle. That the goof became merely a receptacle, a functionary of the neshama. That cannot be affected on the goof, on the reality of the goof, but by the etzem hanshama. This is the example that we gave is in a very low level, that's in the world, but we are talking about even a higher thing. So that the goof becomes a keli for the tzura of the oil hanshama. tzura in neshama, the goof begins to sense, to relate. The oil hanshama comes in the goof in a form, in a manner that the goof can relate to it, and it becomes, and it's completely bottled to this tzura. Even though it's not a chomer, it's not. There's nothing in itself compelling about it. Okay. So this is the pshat, is gabaz atzura ala chomer, and this is ultimately the effect of the gabaz atzura. It becomes his chabras on shom. His chabras on shom in the guf, and said the neshama actually is mischaber, and it said feels an affinity with the guf. Because the guf is subservient, is a receptacle for the neshama. Umitzad ha-neshama, from the perspective of the neshama, inyan ha-hischabrus v'hakiyum beguf hu, the principle of the neshama being nischaber, joined, and kiyum, and staying put in the guf. What keeps the neshama in the guf, so to speak? Hu shegam behoyilu shel neshama. It is. Where is that manifest? His chabuz in the guf. That even behoyilu shel neshama, that even in the most superior aspect of the neshama, b'bchinas kiru dveikus belokus, when the neshama actually manifests and experiences the kiru and dveikus belokus, the closeness and connection. Connection, dveikus means being one with elokus, and that's the truth of the neshama. Kumei bi'avo k'yish b'yesh, as in the case as described in Tanya, avo k'yish b'yesh. Ava for elokus k'yish b'yesh, that expresses itself as a flaming fire. B'toikev hatshuka v'hatzimoin, powerful desire, draw, longing, vatzimoin, and the thirst is longing, to be joined, to be incorporated in Atzmos Soif. That is definitely part of, is a neshama aspect. True, it is on a higher level than neshama, but this is what neshama is. That the neshama essentially has this profound, powerful ahava, krish ve'esh, like a fire rising up, and all it wants is to be lihikolel be'atzmos soif, to be incorporated in atzmos soif. I'm going to explain. Atzmos soif means it is not seeking to understand and to know it and to experience it, but to be incorporated as part of it. Ukmoi, and similarly, Be'ava b'tanugim, when the neshama experiences the union of Ava b'tanugim, an Ava that actually brings forth the Ayin shel neshama. Behasog ha-niflo shel neshama b'yisod baruhu, with the hasaga haniflo, the wondrous hasaga, comprehension that the neshama has of Ayin Soif. Again, just to explain the words, hasaga haniflo shel neshama b'yisod means there are two ways that one can comprehend the information Ayin Soif. One is in contrast to the world. This is not hasaga niflo. This is seichel. Hasoga niflo is when there's hasoga in Ein Sof, not in contrast to the world. A hasoga in Ein Sof itself, directly in the Ein Sof. So then, in that hasoga, in that state of hasoga, misaneges al habaya. Misaneges al habaya. The neshama then experiences this enormous delight in the lakus, b'tainug otzu miyed, with a very powerful delight. Shebehechrach, where it is imperative, sheyiyeh bechinas ha'avshoto mehaguf. In that state, in that type of an experience of delight in the lakus, as I said, it is not a lakus in contrast to the world. It is a lakus, the truth of the lakus itself. So then, behechrech sheyiyeh bechinas ha'avshoto mehaguf. It is imperative then that this kind of experience has to be ha'avshoto mehaguf, to be freed from the goof, because the goof does not, it has no means of relating to this. Bebechinas mesiras nefesh, which comes forth in the manner of mesiras nefesh, v'kiloyim b'nesoy bar. Mesiras nefesh, giving away one's soul, v'kiloyim, and being consumed b'nesoy. This is what is a primary experience of neshama at its highest level, but nevertheless it's a normal experience for the neshama. But yet still, despite this type of a reach, this type of an experience, yet still, lo yiyeh nifrad lagamre mehaguf, he should not be separated from the goof totally. V'yiskayim boy, and he should persist being in the goof. This is the inyan of hischabus and hischabus and shomer ve'aguf. Hischabus and shomer ve'aguf does not mean a subset of the neshama, a compromise, and then leaving away and staying, keeping away from the essence. The real hischabus and shomer ve'aguf means that the neshama is mischaber aguf. The neshama as it is in its fullest reality. And as is also mischaber with the goof, it stays put, connected to the goof, despite the inyan that what it comprehends and what it experiences, the goof cannot be a participant. Just a few more words and then we'll go. Shezehu Beis hafochim v'tevas kala. These are two hafochim, two opposite meanings in the word kala.
In the word what?
Kala, kolo.
Color.
Kolo.
Color.
And here's where we are going to interrupt and do cola. Have a great day. L'chaim, l'chaim.